White Light by Daburcor. Now, this is a visual novel, and they've been working on this for a couple of years, and they're actually a writer in real life, you know, and they've like written books and things, published writer, and they've made this visual novel in dreams. And it's a bit different to a lot of things that you would see in dreams. You know, it's very much cinematic and things. There's not a lot of gameplay to it, but it's, you know, I think like the Hole that we watched earlier by Wargarble, it's more about the narrative than anything else. And I just thought that it was something that was worth, because I've been meaning to give it a go, and I thought if I start playing it on stream, then we can kind of, you know, check it out and showcase it to a wider audience, and then, you know, hopefully it'll be one of those things I can sort of pick up here and there, to carry on with. But it's got, well, sometimes a night off is the last thing you need. Get right to the beating heart of Detective Reggie Harper on a rare night off, a night full of dreamy reminiscence in this cinematic novel. So this is a very big kind of thing, and there we go, a Dan Burley game. This unflinching cinematic novel examining the life and psyche of a decades active detective, a man constantly battling the ghosts of his past, hoping he can move past them, even though they sometimes bring him an uneasy sense of comfort. True or false? Which path will you take? So apparently, there's 3 or 4 hours worth of gameplay in this. So we will have a look at the first chapter or two. Are dead and ever dead to us until we have forgotten them. George Eliot. Warning, White Light contains potentially triggering mature themes, harsh language and descriptions of the aftermath of violence which may be inappropriate for some players. Flickering lights may trigger epileptic response. Discretion is advised. A Harper dream nightmare. It's like flickering out. It is recommended you play the prologue game Walls first. Walls is not only the rightful opening to White Light, but also contains most of its tutorial material, as well as all new story content. Playing one without the other provides a drastically different, perhaps even lesser experience. Alright, well, we should play Walls first then. Hello, Shoutkraken. How are you? Hey, who's out there? Come find me, Detective Harper. I'm good, yeah, thanks for joining the stream. We're playing White Light, which is a visual novel. It's locked, god damn it. If you see nothing to interact with, always seek the light. Where'd that couch go? What the hell's going on here? And this place, what is this place? I don't recognize it. Though I feel like I belong here, I know I want to be elsewhere. Enjoy your dinner, Gizmo. Thanks for stopping by. You have a nice evening too. This piano looks like it's been through hell. Reminds me a lot of the one my mother had when I was growing up. Same make and model, actually. Though hers was in much better shape. And the tune sounds vaguely familiar, but for the life of me I can't place it. Still, I'm somehow certain the keystrokes are only in the ballpark. How does this poor, mistreated instrument sound so vibrant? A rather impressive baseball trophy. It isn't engraved, but I feel confident in assuming that it's probably for pitching. I can't explain why I feel that way, but I do. Very strongly. Could it be... No. That's in its case at home. I am British, yes. Welsh, in fact. These... Wait, these are mine. Or at least they were. My sister Roxy and I both desperately wanted pod chairs for our 11th birthday, but our folks couldn't afford one, let alone two. So my father, a woodworking whiz, built these ones for us by hand. All our friends were jealous, because the chairs their parents bought them weren't nearly as nice as ours. Christ, one of our richer friends' fathers tried to buy these from Dad, who said, hell no, but I'll build one for you for £1,000. And he did. 2 of them, in fact. We had a great Christmas that year. Anyway, ours were the only 2 chairs he made with the red and blue cushioning. These were the school colours in our hometown of Owego, New York. Colours we hoped to don when we could finally play for their baseball teams. Roxley eventually joined and dominated, but I lost interest in competitive playing. I only liked playing for fun, after a while making Roxy Dad's favourite. Our brother Al and I would remind her that daughters are always more favoured by dads, and she'd reply, yeah, but this makes me more favoured. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Gizmo. I'm glad you liked it. But why are these here? I thought they were lost in a house fire. And why is our record player box with them? It should be in my bedroom. Thanks, Kraken. I'm assuming you're talking about me when you say I love your creations. What? I know this place, right? This cabin, it looks vaguely familiar, but I can't place it. I just know there's something about it coaxing me, mentally and emotionally. I can't seem to shake the feeling that there's a deeper, maybe spiritual connection. It's as though there's a part of me trapped inside, calling the rest of me to join it, pulling me closer like a tractor beam. I can physically feel it tugging. Wait, I can't turn away. What the? I'm too strong, I can't... Oh, no. Decent sized sofa that folds out into a bed. Looks as though it's seen some use, but also appears to be well cared for. Now, being a detective means taking intuitive leaps, making connections normal people might not, and in some cases can't. With that notion always at the forefront of my mind, the rug beneath this sofa leads me to believe the owner is at least somewhat cautious of scuffing their oddly pristine floor, but not so cautious as to spring for a rug large enough to really get that job done. That, in turn, leads me to believe the owner is likely a chronic underachiever in their everyday life. Even a complete layman can glean a lot from a person's decorative choices. After all, each of us has many degrees of self, and only one of them is immediately visible to the naked eye. Everything else has to be revealed in some other way. So, using my decades of experience and judging the corner by the rest of this cabin, I'm comfortable making the following intuitive leap. I believe the owner of this place is not at all what most people are likely to see on the surface. Exactly what that means for them as a person, I'm not yet positive. However, my guess is the answer will be not good, at best. Somehow it's crystal clear to me that this cabin's nobody's primary home, and every inch of it smacks of a dirty secret. It's remote, and its contents lead the mind, mine at least, to a horrifying picture when all the pieces are in place, when they're filtered through the lens of knowledge. So this dream was made by a creator called Daburcor, but they're actually, in real life, they're actually a published novelist, and they've been working on this dream for several years. I believe it brings their literary character to life within dreams, which is pretty cool. A tasteful fireplace ruined by a tasteless trophy of a lion's head. I'd like to hit whoever owns this place. My guess is it'd only take with one. You want to hunt for food, that's fine, but trophy hunters killing for the sake of killing? They're weak. Every goddamn one. They're compensating for a lack of strength, of real power. They're small, they're cowards. They fold like used tissues when confronted by anyone stronger. That's science, if I ever learnt it. My guess is that this cabin's owner is a man. Likely a real guy's guy in his outward everyday life. An old jock? Divorced, or getting ready to, maybe. Maybe multiple times over. Insecure, but fairly adept at hiding it. Probably because he has some sort of self-centering daily ritual, or, you know, a secret hideaway. At any rate, I doubt he has many interpersonal connections that go deeper than mere acquaintance, or victims. Yes, this is White Light. This is the prologue called Walls, which it's said to play before you start playing White Light, because it gives you a lot more, like, context of the character. But it said that within the White Light dream itself, it gave you the choice to play this first. I'm not really into horror for the sake of it, like jump scares and things. I quite like the psychological horror, you know, where things are just weird and out of place, and you're not quite sure when. So why? A functional sink, well-stocked cupboards, a packed mini-fridge and a hot plate. Seems this area was added fairly recently, but the hot plate looks like a relic of the late 60s or early 70s. Maybe it's a family heirloom, or as close to one as our mystery cabin owner gets. Again, I feel like any attachments he has to the real world are superficial at best, and coupling that notion with the rest of this awful place makes my skin crawl. I feel like I should add that there are numerous things of horrific sexual nature under the sink, but I'll spare you the details as I attempt to burn them from my own memory. I don't like being here. This is awful. Unsurprising, sure, but awful nonetheless. I worked homicide for a decade after all. I've noted that this cabin is some of the brightest, reddest flags I've ever seen. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm desensitized to shit like this. I'm not. I just have to put a lid on my personal feelings. I can always drink them down later, or even take them out on a fellow Street Fighter player, but between you and me, I'm especially enraged by this. Here we have a modified dentist chair, shackles affixed for the neck, waist, wrists and ankles, a table full of blades and prying tools, and a blue tarp spread beneath them. I'll give you one guess what that's for. The implications of this corner alone make me want to vomit. I need to get the hell out of here before I just burn the whole goddamn thing to the ground. I'll be doing the world a favour. That said, I feel compelled to keep digging. Though I instinctively know what happened, I can't just run away. I have to see everything, unearth every sickening detail. Only then can I move on to whatever comes next. Two bodies. Female, probably mid-teens. Male, late 30s to early 40s. The female shows signs of ongoing physical abuse, scattered bruising and contusions from head to toe, signs of broken ribs, and even perfectly visible hip and skull fractures. Wounds are in varying states, from flesh to nearly healed. The male's had his throat cut and what appears to be vicious burns on his face and hands. There are signs of a violent struggle leading from the dentist chair and going around the whole cabin. The bodies appear to have finally fallen here. Best guess? The male got cocky. He likely figured he'd sufficiently broken the girl and left her unshackled for just a hair longer than he usually did. Probably even turned his back on her. What he didn't bank on, of course, was the survival instinct of a cornered animal. The girl had probably been waiting, even planning, for any moment of vulnerability. She'd likely worked out hundreds, maybe thousands of scenarios in her head, capitalising on the first Wait, what am I saying? This isn't fucking real. These are nothing but store mannequins. What's wrong with me? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Maybe I'm dead, and this is my own personal hell. Whatever the case, I have to get out of here. Looks like I was right. He died for nothing. Also, I should get the phrase "looks like I was right" tattooed to my fucking forehead. Good luck sleeping here now, asshole. This painting, for lack of a more visceral, sickening term, is nothing more than splattered blood. My guess is the crimes of this cabin's owner were of a serial nature, and that this and the ghastly things under the sink are his trophies. Meaning the currently spreading fire will be one of a cleansing variety. It won't erase the terrible things he's done, but it will get rid of the place that facilitated them. At least, it's a form of justice. That's quite weird. You did this. Goddamn right I did. And I'll do it again. Yes, you are destined to, time and again, beyond life, beyond death. So be it. Indeed. Enjoy eternity, detective. Hey, thanks, Fluffy. I'm glad you enjoyed. Probably shouldn't be here out here, Reggie. Dad'll get pissed. Have a nice evening. He's dead, Roxy. Everybody is. I'm not. I'm never gonna die. You were first. Oh, was the cabin his dad's? Roxy's glove. That should be in my apartment, safe in its case. What's it doing sitting out here like this? What the hell can't I pick it up? It's like it weighs a goddamn ton. And where'd the ball go? They should be together. Safe. Protected. Heads up. Catch. Nice. Still got it. Does this bullshit ever end? Brownstone. Much like the cabin from earlier, I feel a strange tether to it. I also feel simultaneous senses of dread and joy yo-yoing in my gut like I'm on an endless roller coaster, each vying to be my primary focus. But once again, the SOS signal shining from the windows is telling me I need to be in this building. If someone needs help, I have to try, no matter the cost. Period. And if I'm too late, if there's no help to be given, then getting some semblance of justice for them is all that matters. In fact, getting life's victims justice has always been my truest guiding principle. There's always someone in need, and I'm uniquely qualified to deliver it. This feels familiar, but something's off. Nothing looks quite right. His and her dresses, meaning this is likely the home of a couple. The large one's packed to the gills with women's garments, as is the vast majority of the small one. Its top drawer is the only one to contain any traditionally male-associated clothing, indicating to me that said male is either living an excessively Spartan existence, or that he has more clothing elsewhere. My guess would be another room, or the drawers surrounding the bed. A well-organised, though still somehow cluttered desk nightstand. If I had to guess, I'd say the owner is a classic Type C personality. Detail-oriented, logical, well-prepared for just about any situation like life might throw at him. I'm confident saying him because, as I guessed, there are men's clothes in the majority of the drawers. Not only that, but the handwriting, colour choices, and organisational style all rely heavily on masculine traits. At any rate, judging by the state of this room, I'd say he probably wasn't as prepared as he'd have liked to believe. Rather large, well-stocked bookcase. Seeing as we've established this is the bedroom of a couple, it's safe to assume one or both of them to be voracious readers. After all, no one puts a shelf like this in their room just to show off. Plus, many of these books are old, well used, falling apart even. I'd wager any damage to them is not at all due to poor care, but rather to excessive use. All the drawers are open and empty, there's nothing on the stand, and the suitcase is packed full of women's clothing. Looks like she was getting ready to skip town. I wonder, where was she going? And why did she end up like this? The drawers don't look like they were opened with any real sort of urgency, which leads me to believe that maybe whatever the hell happened here wasn't completely expected. Other than the red light, this record player box is identical to the one Roxy and I had growing up. We'll gladly put it through its paces. I can promise you that. We'd play it all night long, or at least until one or both of our parents told us to shut the goddamn thing off and go to bed. We'd protest, of course, but then Dad would play the "stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about" card, which worked every time. But now isn't the time for those stories. What now is the time for is figuring out whatever the hell happened here, so I can leave. This cat, there's something oddly familiar about it, something I find rather unnerving, despite its cutesy appearance. Fuck this place, I'm leaving. Female, mid-late 30s, multiple gunshot wounds to the gut, chest and face. This type of brutality, it reeks of a mob hit. Whoever shot her was sending a message. Was this young woman privy to something she shouldn't have been, and subsequently murdered for it? Perhaps as a big show of mob strength? Something of a general, "this is what you get when you mess with us, don't" warning? Or is she a targeted message to someone else? An innocent victim? I need to look around, see if I can find some clues as to who she... No. She's not real. This is another goddamn mannequin. Plastic, styrofoam, metal frame, a soulless effigy. Nothing more, nothing less. What the hell? Hey, you okay? What are you attached to? I'll try to get you that. Another door? Always another goddamn door. What the fuck? Well, hello to you too, you grump. I'm sorry I wasn't... I think I might be losing my mind. It's okay, I'm only teasing. I guess I deserved it. Vehemently disagree, Detective Harper. Let's go do something fun. Come on, Reg. Let's go for a walk. The hell you go? Hello? God damn it. Guess I can at least get some work done. Wait. These aren't the papers I left here. Where'd they come from? I know this. It was ours once. But it doesn't matter now. No, I remember, but it should... Peekaboo! I see you! What are you doing down there? Let's try a trustful. Life has a way of pulling the rug out from under you. But when it does, do you give in to gravity, toppling down without a struggle? Or do you foolishly, hopelessly rage against the very laws of nature? Doing so is a fool's errand. After all, no man can simply jump into the air and fly, no matter how he tries. Knowing that fact has never stopped me, of course. It's my nature to take the dive every time. It's my nature that turned my whole life, perfect life, to shit. But I was right. God damn it. I was right. Chapter 1. Straight into darkness. Hey, what's up, Karamba? How you doing, man? Yeah, I'm pretty good, man. Managed to get a PS5 sorted out, so I'm picking it up on the weekend. Should be good. Be able to finally get with the PS5 program. No more lag on dreams. Having a kid who's more of a smartass than you has its ups and downs. My daughter, for instance, is maybe the smartest ass I'll ever know. She often likes to tell people, pay attention. There might be a quiz later, as a gently snarky reminder to be more attentive. But, while I wholeheartedly agree with her, it's easier said than done. Especially if, like me, your mind is always playing tricks on you. Yeah, I know, man. I've seen the footage of your racing game that you've been posting, and it looks smooth as butter. No matter how many times I've fixed it, this goddamn faucet seems hell-bent on constantly dripping. I just keep the wrench affixed to the pipes at all times now. Replacing things would take time I'm unwilling to invest. That's it. Not everything in this apartment has a sentimental story behind it. Some things exist purely for utility's sake. Guess I better fix this noisy bastard while I'm at it. Much better. My cats, Pryor and Wilder, eat and drink here. Now before you ask, yes, the black one is Pryor, and the orange one is Wilder. And yes, they're both fucking hilarious. But Reggie, I don't see any cats, you may say. And that's a rock-solid observation. They're not here. If you need to know, they're at the vet, getting shots, flea dips, and things of that ilk. Of course, they're not really all that important right now. Maybe I'll talk more about them later, but something tells me you're not looking to waste your time listening to an old man gush about his cats. Nope, there's only one reason people I don't know want to talk to me outside of hiring me. But I haven't yet determined if you've earned that. My father, the late Albert Harper Sr., made this table and his chairs by hand, by himself. Though he earned his steady money as a milk truck driver, tanker variety, not as a milkman, Dad was, as I mentioned earlier, an excellent woodworker. Every now and then he'd just make things like this. He did it all through my childhood and into my early teens. Sometimes it was purely for fun, sometimes it was more for extra cash, but he did it any chance he got. Until we lost Roxy, that is. First he stopped due to the pain of losing her. Then he later stopped forever due to an old injury taking a heavy toll on his mobility. I could tell it hurt him some when my wife and I bought a curio cabinet in which to store Roxy's stuff, but he never said so. There are some conversations you just don't want to have, though I'd give almost anything to have even that one with him now. Such is life. Seattle. Even the bad part of town looks alright from a 4th floor balcony, no matter how pitiful said balcony may be. I moved out here in '94 following a 5-year downward spiral. One that cost me damn near every portion of my life. One that tainted every facet of my humanity. And what, you may ask, was the biggest cost? Time, mostly. Time with my daughter, my one and only child. My Elizabeth. What? At home with former news anchor. She was delightful, people say. Hey, I can't move. What's up? Shh. It's alright. Just enjoy the show. What show? Another careless, stupid mistake. What was she thinking? Husband cries. Men commit evil deeds. Orders are orders, men say. Adding stupid bitch should have backed off. News anchor fights for her life. It's pretty grisly, but she went down swinging, detective said. She fought like hell. Hey, stop! Stop, god damn it! Men on a mission. Source recalls the men saying, I got kids to feed. Get the hell out of there, run! Heartbreak and farewell to joy. Sources close to the incident call it inevitable and your fault. Hope is for fools, pain is eternal. Everybody loved her, but only you killed her. It's too dark to see anything. Elizabeth drew this for me when she was 10. It's based on a picture I took of her and her mother at Central Park on Mary's 34th birthday. What Mary really requested for that birthday was that the three of us go to the park, sit under the crabapple trees and have a lazy picnic. Just the three of us. The flaw with that request, however, Lizzie was an incredibly high-energy child. She was a little powder keg. Lazy days were never on the table with her. Now, it must be said that I did my best to do any and all child wrangling that day, but the picture this is based on, as joyful as it is, followed a rare scolding from mother to daughter. I turned away to load a new roll of film into my camera, and by the time I looked back, Lizzie was climbing down one of the trees, crabapple in hand. Before either Mary or I had a chance to react, Elizabeth chomped into the apple, getting the surprise of her life. We'd warned her not to eat them, but I guess our warnings of their extremely tart nature only made her want to defy us. As Lizzie cried and gagged, Mary casually walked over to her, took the apple, tossed it, scowled, and sternly said, "Libby, next time listen with your ears, darn it." That's about as harsh as she ever was to her darling daughter. Marianne's stereo system, our records, and a number of Mary's music-centric books. On my 18th birthday, our bond became unbreakable as we hunkered down in her dorm room, listening to music and sharing stories of our lives and families. We'd only known each other a week at that point, but we'd become quite friendly. She gave me a copy of David Bowie's self-titled album, now widely known as Space Oddity, and we listened to that a few times, along with every single Beatle album there is. Whether or not we realised it in then, our long, eventful night together would become the foundation for the rest of our lives. It remains my all-time favourite birthday. Now, the books, largely musician biographies and music history texts, are flipped so that you can't see the spines, because Mary said not knowing what she was getting into was part of the adventure. I always said, "But you know them by heart," to which she always replied, "I better not be the only one reading them." Marianne's chair, now my music chair. Though she spent far more happy times in it than anything else, my mind can't help go back to the bad. Specifically, the back end of '83. Not only was she pregnant at the time, but she also happened to be grieving the loss of her big brother, Scott. Life and death were hitting her for keeps all at once, and she was falling apart in the worst way. I think of this time because when her grief was at its worst, it was the first time in the 8 years since we'd met that she'd questioned her faith. To be honest, even though I'm a lifelong, godless heathen, it scared the hell out of me. Worse than that, it broke my goddamn heart. You see, Mary's faith was always important to her, and that made it important to me, whether I shared it or not. That's what love is. Elizabeth's senior photo. Mercer Island High, Mercer Island, Washington, '02. She didn't participate in graduation photos because the photographer was super skeevy. Her feeling was right. The man was soon after convicted of multiple sexual crimes. I looked into him myself. Now, Lizzie, she never liked school. However, she saw it as a necessary evil. Given the fact that she was intent on a career in journalism, she knew that meant she'd need a metric fuckton of legit schooling. Her words. She'd always been intelligent, with or without school, but her intelligence has often led her to having fairly extreme anxiety. Since her college days, however, she's gotten a much better handle on it. If you want to know anything more personal than that, you have to ask her. The ins and outs of her private life are not my story to tell, and frankly, I don't have any desire to share those details with you anyway. As for this photo, Elizabeth decided she wanted to pay homage to her mum by making something of a mirrored version of Mary's graduation photo. We rented out a space for an afternoon. I shot the photo myself. I suppose I should add that, being my school paper's best photographer, I shot the original as well. I did all the graduation photos until I too walked. So the continuity for Lizzie's shoot was both well established and fully intentional. Anyway, Lizzie was thrilled with the results of our photo shoot, but the school wasn't quite as happy. They'd already made a concession by allowing her to use an outside photographer. And even though I offered to reshoot the whole graduating class, they tried to put their foot down. But Elizabeth is a lot like me in a resourceful doggedness. She said, "Go ahead. Hold off the fucking valedictorian senior photo, guys. That'll be great PR." They got huffy over her use of profanity. She said, "What are you going to do, huh? Expel the fucking valedictorian? Which I am? I don't give a shit. I can get a diploma anywhere." Naturally, they acquiesced. Everyone does eventually. Marianne's 1976 college graduation photo, Adelphi University, Garden City, New York. She graduated with the highest honours available to her, not just within the journalism programme, but in the whole goddamn graduating class. She would have been wearing her cap, but she gave it away. One of her fellow graduates has theirs blown off, at which point a stray dog caught it and sped off, never to be found. Mary gave up her cap without hesitation, which pissed her dad off like you wouldn't believe. "But Daddy, God says if you can give, you should," Marianne said, causing her father to go red in the face and scammer, "You're right, I wasn't thinking straight," before sulking off to move the car. Ever the prideless warrior of God, that one. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. I never liked Jack Hillard. I never will. The only good thing he ever did was lend a hand in creating Lauren Hillard's children. Anyway, Mary was asked to give a speech that afternoon, and in classic Marianne fashion, spoke on the importance of propelling your internal drive with unflappable goodness. She talked for a good 10 minutes, some planned, some off the cuff. Her speech was punctuated thus: "Be kind, and kindness will come to you. Be loving, and love will come to you. Be good, and good things will happen. Combat darkness with your light." Unlike her miserable excuse for her father, Mary always practised as she preached, as the rest of this anecdote can attest. She was good, right to her bone marrow. My Police Academy graduation photo, NYPD, New York, 1977. If I appear unhappy to you, it's because I was born looking that way. I've always had what is known as a blunted effect. Now, I feel things quite deeply, but I also compartmentalise, rarely showing how I'm truly feeling. I did have a lot of quiet pride that day, but I saw it as a business day, not really what I would think of as time to be grinning like a goddamn idiot. Also, on top of my usual subdued nature, I just finished giving a speech about the murder of my sister, and it wasn't remotely fucking pleasant. It's never pleasant. It's not something I enjoy thinking or talking about. Ever. If all that wasn't enough, I also didn't view my graduation from the academy as anything bigger than a mere stepping stone. Considered nothing I did to be a success until I finally made detective a few years later. This cabinet contains just about everything that's left of my twin sister, Roxanne Burlesque Harper, Roxy, to those who earned it. Books, records, her precious baseball and glove, as well as her short life's crowning achievement, her MVP trophy. Along with them, her single-volume diary. What I don't have in this cabinet either lives with my brother Al, or my mother, the incomparable Molly Harper. Well, other than the MVP ring, which I used to ask Marianne to marry me. That's still with her, back in New York. It was Mary's longer than it was Roxy's, after all, and it wouldn't be right to take it from her, no matter how things may have ended. Excerpts from Roxy's diary, 1969 to 1970. Dear Diary, today it's 1969 and I've decided to start writing anew. Before break, Sarah said that if she didn't have a place to write her private thoughts, she'd rip her hair out. And she asked me if I kept a diary, and I told her how great that sounded, but I could barely afford our school notebooks this year, so it'd just have to be a fantasy for me. But her and her mum came over on Christmas Eve, and she dropped you off. So here we go. I feel bad because all I gave her is a 61 Maris card. I think she'll get a lot of private use out of it though, if you know what I mean. P.S. There's going to be some filth in you, diary. I hope you're ready. Dear Diary, my nickname of Batman for Calvin finally caught on, but now Hank and Joey are using it to mock him. Why would anyone want to mock him, of all people? He's so harmless, know what I mean? He's never do anything to retaliate. Which I guess is the point. Bullies love people who don't fight back. But Reg and me, we fight back, and forth. So I think those two dillholes will end up getting the beating of a lifetime one day. For Batman. That's justice, and it's my mission now. Love and punches, rocks. Hello, diary. Not much to say today. I woke up really happy. Stayed that way all day. Not too shabby, but also not exciting. Play ball. Diary. I want to kill Mr. Harrison. Batman came in with another black eye today and thought he made excuses for it. I know his dad's work when I see it. I'm so mad. I should just tell Dad about it. He snapped Mr. Harrison like a matchstick. Dear Diary, I'm really sore today. Thing is, my tits are getting bigger and I hate it. Not only is it raw and painful, but they're getting in the way of my pitching, and that pisses me off. I had to start taping them down while I play. On top of that, all the wrong boys keep staring. Some of the adults too. It makes me feel sick. It's not fair. I wish I was born a boy, then I wouldn't have to worry about all of that stuff. But on a happy note, Dad had some extra money this month, so he took me and Reg to see the Wild Bunch, while Mom and Al went to the Tioga History Museum. It ended up being a pretty good day. Diary. Today was exhilarating. Best birthday ever. At school, Reg and me were tasked with looking after Betty because Batman was out sick. And wouldn't you know, that dick-faced Bobby put his hand up her dress. He didn't think anyone saw him, but I did. So I told him I was going to beat the shit out of him after school. Then he went and got himself thrown in detention, so he could be close to Moose. In class we had a nuke drill, and while we were under our desks I convinced Reg to get back up so we could get detention and go put the fear of God into Bobby. Reg got up and started reading, and I sat at my desk and pretended I was going to nap. Miss Campbell got really cheesed and sent us away. On the way to detention I came clean to Reg about Moose, and he got pissed and told me I made the wrong move, but refused to elaborate like he always does. When we got to study hall, we went right over to Bobby and Moose and sat down behind them. And Reg dropped the only nuke any of us were likely to see that day. Moose is in love with Bertie. But he didn't just say it. Oh no, he had to play his little mind games, just casually mentioning why Bobby was really there. Next thing I knew, Moose jumped up and flipped Bobby and his frickin' desk over the next desk like they were pieces of toilet tissue, then grabbed a math book and started clobbering him with it. Reg and me just sat back and enjoyed his handiwork. Maybe Bobby will learn to keep his hands to himself from now on. I know for sure he won't touch Betty again, at any rate. I don't think anyone will ever have a better birthday than this one. Love and peace. Dear Diary, me and Carol got into it over a poor pitching form after the game today. I didn't mean for my words to come off as an attack, I just wanted her to be aware of what she was doing wrong so she wouldn't seriously hurt herself like Dad did. Then, if that wasn't bad enough, I almost lost my lucky ball to a storm drain and away go after dinner, but Dad leapt to the ground and caught it just before it rolled in. Mom rolled her eyes and scolded him, but I think it was more because he got his good clothes dirty than anything. And of course, Reggie and Al were too busy fighting about who's the best Beatle to notice. As if it isn't a fact that George is the best. Idiots. Dear Diary, I love this time of year. Dad and Gramps made cider for the annual band party and started teaching Al how to do it. Gramps told Reggie and me that we were old enough to invite whoever the hell we wanted, so I invited Batman, but he said Reg already asked him to come. Reggie's a dick. So I figured I'd beat that gross milk-eyed jerk at his own game and ask his crush out from under him, but he already invited Sarah too. Then he laughed at me for getting pissed, so I went to sack check him, but he dodged it and cuffed my tit. This is war. P.S. I'm still looking forward to the party though, because Mom always drinks too much cider. And when Mom has too much cider, she gets really talkative, which is unlike her. She's usually buttoned down. Dear Diary, the Christmas Eve party was even better than I could have imagined. Even though it seemed there was no romance to be had, I still had the best time. Mum predictably drank too much cider, but rather than getting wacky like normal, she got philosophical and pulled me outside for a heart-to-heart. She told me the story about how she met Dad at one of Grandpa's barn parties and how she knew that he was her guy before the night was over. She talked about the way he looked at her like she was the only girl in the state and how he'd spent every day since treating her as such. Then she said that she sees the same thing when Batman looks at me, winked, and walked away. So here's a secret for you. I kissed Batman. It was wonderful. I'd never kissed anyone before, but I didn't want to stop. This is what Christmas should always feel like. Dear Diary, it's been almost a week since the barn party. I'm still on cloud 9. Too busy to say more. Love, Roxy. Dear Diary, went to a girls only sleepover at Sarah's place. It was her, Betty, Carol and me, and Sarah's mom took us all to the Skylark diner for burgers and pop. If that wasn't enough, she also took us to see the computer wore tennis shoes. He wasn't very good, but we could all agree that Kurt Russell was cute. Later on, the other girls wanted to talk about boys, but that almost ruined the night, because Sarah started drooling over Reggie and asking all kinds of trampy questions about his body. I would have talked about what happened with Batman, but he's Betty's big brother, and things were already uncomfortable enough with Sarah talking about mine. In the end, we did the only sensible thing and unanimously decided to lust after Kurt Russell. It was a good night. Love and peace, Roxy. P.S. Play with balls. Dear Diary, it's 1970 at 16 degrees out and we're freezing our tits and or balls off. Heat's out at the house, so Reg, Mom, Al and me are all staying with Grandma Harpy while Dad and Grandpa try to fix it. I hope they don't freeze to death. I hope we don't. There's a long heavy pen mark coming from the R and going off the page before Roxy starts again. To whoever reads this, when I die, I didn't just have a stroke. Reggie tripped over me. I socked him a good one in the sack. No kids for him. Sorry, Sarah. You're gonna have to adopt. Dear Diary, there's a Sadie Hawkins dance coming up and I think it's time to make my move. I'm going to ask Batman to go as my date. Wish me luck. Our kiss can't have been nothing. Diary, I love Kurt Russell. P.S. Not as much as Batman though. Dear Diary, I clocked Batman a good one with a warmed up fastball. He was pissed and I feel like shit now. Wasn't supposed to be a damn beanball. Why wasn't he paying attention? He'd knock the pitch out of the park any other day. Now he'll probably never talk to me again, and I want to crawl under the house and die. Hello, Diary. Today sucked. Remember when I told Carol she was going to hurt herself if she didn't take my advice? Well, she did. She tore something in her shoulder and now she can't play next year. Maybe never again. I've never seen anyone cry so hard in my life. It hurts. Dear Diary, Batman doesn't hate me. I'm so happy I could die. But I think Carol hates me, which makes me a lot less happy. I love her like a sister, but she won't even look at me anymore. I won't give up though. Dad says a harper doesn't relent. And he's always right. Diary, last week of junior high. I'm ready. Play ball. Dear Diary, tomorrow is Reg's and my last day. I can't wait to see what the summer holds. I really can't wait to play high school baseball. Hopefully they've got a better team, because I'm sick of slumming it. Just one more day. Love and peace. P.S. Reggie, you're a dick. I know you've been reading this. That's it. That's the final entry. The very next day, right after our last unisex ball game of the school year, Roxy went missing. If that wasn't bad enough, a lot of strange things come with Twindom, and I say with 100% positivity that I actually felt her die a few weeks later. Nobody could convince me otherwise, and that caused quite a bit of friction between my father and I. He couldn't fathom my hopelessness and resented the fact I was moving through the grieving process before anyone else even started. Roxy was found a week before Thanksgiving, 7 goddamn months later, and the autopsy results puts her ballpark time of death around when I knew It was. That was the worst Thanksgiving in Harper family history, I believe. However, from the night I felt Roxy die right through this fucking second, I made it my life's mission to get justice for as many future Roxys as possible, and to hopefully prevent some outright. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail, but I always try. I owe it to her, and I owe it to our family. Moreover, I owe it to myself. I also feel compelled to add that I have this recurring dream, maybe once every month or two, where I'm trapped in the cabin where Roxy was found. Everything's dark and awful, but in order to leave I have to work the crime scene just as I have so many others. Even though I know every beat of it by heart, every turn, every drop of blood, every fibre of wood grain, it's like my mind is walling off portions of knowledge in order to keep me there. The bodies of Roxy and her killer are replaced with mannequins, as is sometimes the case when I dream of any of the many crime scenes I've worked. The whole time I'm working the scene in my dream, I'm feeling like I need to be anywhere else, but my movements are slow, calm even. And when I finally solve the case, as the cabin burns around me, I casually walk outside where I'm greeted by Roxy, or at least what has replaced her in my memory. The two of us have a chat. It's different every time, and play a little catch. Then she disappears, leaving behind only her baseball gear, just as she did the day she was taken. That's what sleep is for me. Endless goddamn torment. Roxy's glove and lucky ball. Any pitcher's lifeline. Dad instilled a love of baseball into Roxy and I at a young age. He always used to say, one of you's going to hit the bigs and support me when I'm old. And in a fair world, Roxy would have been the one to do it. Now, I love baseball, and I was good at it, but Roxy lived and breathed it. It pumped through her goddamn veins like jet fuel. Anyone was lucky enough to meet her would know in mere moments that she loved the game, but most would never guess that she could give some of the majors a run for their money. She was a prodigy, and I can't stress that fact enough. Christ, I miss dissecting games with her. I miss everything about her, good and bad. Make no mistake, we live in an exceedingly cruel world, and it's often cruelest to the most innocent. That's science, if I ever learnt it. Roxy's MVP trophy for the 67-68 season. The crowning achievement of a sickeningly short life. I'd argue she was never happier than on the afternoon she was awarded MVP of the girls' baseball team. Just like mine, Roxy's usual smile was something more akin to what most people would think of as a smart-ass smirk. But that day she was all teeth, grinning like an idiot and absolutely beaming with pride. The picture of the presentation, along with the other pictures I usually have in here, is currently with Elizabeth for digitization. But it's hands down my favourite picture of Roxy in existence. She worked her ass off to get that ceremony, earning every accolade they were given, and probably a few that weren't. That's how I like to remember Roxy. Happy and contented, knowing her hard work paid off. Well, now we have context for the prologue. Chapter 2. Mystery Man. Psst. Get up. Filing cabinets. One set of many. This particular set is reserved for my highest priority cases only, meaning its contents are often my pet project cases. Murders, abductions, sexual assaults, and anything dealing with children. These cases often afford me little to no money, but no matter what anybody tells you, not everything in this world hinges on monetary gain. Nor should it. Some things are just a matter of necessity. My desk. Mary and I bought it when I made lieutenant back in my NYPD homicide days. It wasn't bought in celebration though. I truly needed it. You see, I'd had a perfectly good desk already, but I ended up going through the goddamn thing like a trained stuntman about a week prior to purchasing this one. I was in the process of rearranging my home office in order to bring in a new filing cabinet for the influx of new paperwork my promotion would net. I'd lost track of time going through personal memorabilia, when suddenly I heard Marianne call to me for dinner. I got up quickly, stepped on a magazine, just so, and toppled backward, straight through the fucking desk and onto the floor. I ended up getting a pretty vicious cut on my back and had to get stitches. Wasted a good Saturday evening, I say. Anyway, these days this is often the extent of my view of the world. Having no employees or underlings mean I don't get to pawn off my paperwork, though my daughter Elizabeth helps out every now and then. Living in a modern world means either adapting to modern technology or being left in the dust to die. I wouldn't say I'm a computer wizard by any stretch, but I'm nowhere near illiterate either. I do most of my own upkeep and general maintenance, and I even play games on it now and again. Not bad for 53, I say. It's open. Elizabeth designed this, my business logo, when she was still in high school. Though I'd solved or been involved in saving a handful of fairly high-profile cases in my brief tenure as a PI, I wasn't exactly setting the world alight. Sure, I was making enough money to keep the lights on, the roof over my head, but I'd be lying if I said there weren't days I went without food. Far cry from my NYPD days, but nothing I hadn't experienced before. I grew up poor, after all. Anyway, one spring afternoon, my brother Albert and I were in the middle of what I thought was a private discussion on ways to drum up business, when Elizabeth's voice piped up from the doorway. "Branding," she said. "You need branding." That semester, she was taking a college-level business course, and the most useful thing that she took from it was that, if you want to succeed, you need an easily identifiable brand. So she joined Al and I, and the three of us brainstormed exactly what branding meant for me. Al soon floated the idea of an all-seeing eye, then Lizzie said, "Ooh, hang on," grabbed a pen and paper and quickly scribbled out a magnifying glass with a crude vision of this in place of the lens. I liked it, and she spent the weekend making the real McCoy on her computer. I never ever considered another option. Lizzie's always maintained that I should wear it like Batman everywhere I go. I decline. This note is Elizabeth in a nutshell. She's seemingly equal parts sweet like her mother and sour like me. Yep, I'm a regular Sour Patch Kid, she says. Whatever the hell that means. She has what most would call a foul mouth, and has had it for pretty much as long as she could speak. Her mother encouraged it. I had no goddamn business keeping her from saying things I said in casual conversation. That said, profanity is the language of the streets, and our work puts us on the pavement on a daily basis. So, there's that. The set of file cabinets is something of a career achieved. As I said earlier, I moved out to Seattle in late '94, following a complete breakdown, and nearly immediately got my PI license, quickly getting right to work. In the 15 years since then, I've taken on all manner of cases, and each one of them has at least a summary of events in here. But now isn't the time to get into them. I will add, however, that Elizabeth is the only person other than me who has unrestricted access to them. She says they help lend an authenticity to her fictional writing, as if her own field experience wouldn't suffice. Her official stance? Yeah, but I'm not like a grizzled old dude. That's the part I need you for, you old bastard. What's wrong with this, and why can't I turn it off? My personal coat rack off limits to everyone but me. As with the wrathful alcoholic detective, a cliché I firmly adhere to is the detective in a long coat. But long coats like these are ideal for someone like me. In mine I can store any number of investigative party favours: evidence bags, disposable gloves, booties and face masks, business cards, cuffs, things of that ilk. Things you need to properly hack it in this profession. On top of eliminating the need for me to carry a bag, the long coats also happen to be a useful tool in a scrape. Say some worthless jackass manages to get a grip on it, fully intent on using it as a handle, while he bludgeons me like a punching balloon. Sure, I can simply accept the beating, but why do that when I can shed the coat like a snakeskin? Because then, I've got the upper hand. Then I can act accordingly before he even has the time to react. Hell, I can even use the coat as an offensive item. After all, as I've always stressed to my daughter, nearly anything you can hold can and should be utilised as a weapon in dire straits. For instance, say I've shed the coat while fighting my big jackass friend. Rather than putting distance between us, I can grab the opposite end of the coat, wrap the goddamn thing around his head, and show him what a huge mistake he made, turning the situation on its ear and giving him the beating of his life, rather than the other way round. Yes, I have been in this exact situation, and yes, it worked beautifully. As for why I have 3 different coats, that's easy. What time I leave the office dictates which one I wear, no matter how long I'm out. Tan for the morning, olive for the late afternoon, evening, and navy for night time. The water cooler. It stores and cools drinking water, which is free to anyone who walks through my office. Riveting, eh? The Christmas lights above it were Elizabeth is doing. Now, I don't personally give a rat's ass about Christmas these days, or any holiday really, but Lizzie insists on decoration, whether I want it or not. She had grand designs in mind, but I fought her down to these measly bare strands. Sometimes I'm just ornery, and that's all there is to it. This is the cat's bathroom. That's right, the cat's bathroom. It's larger and far nicer than the one attached to my bedroom, and also doubles as a guest public bathroom for visitors and clients alike. But Reggie, why is it the cat's bathroom, you may ask? Well, that's simple. This is where they shit. Before I had my cats, and before Elizabeth moved out for good, this was largely her bathroom, though she'd still sometimes take mine as she preferred the lighting. However, when Lizzie got her own place, I guess you could say I got a little lonely. Enter Pryor and Wilder. The night I brought them home, after bonding with them during a case that left them homeless, they gravitated to this room, claiming it as their own. Who was I to argue with two of the greatest comedic minds in American cinematic history? I'm no fool, I know my place. On top of that, I've never met a cat I didn't like. I've always been something of a sucker for them. So much so that I tend to spoil them. Anyway, Elizabeth took it upon herself to design the sign, which she had 3D printed as a housewarming gift for the cats, who she often refers to as her little brothers. Apparently, the braille reads cats. This set of cabinets is reserved for my high-paying cases, the tawdry bullshit jobs, as Elizabeth calls them. Think the CDPI standards, employment background checks, spouse watching, that sort of thing. These cases don't particularly scratch their justice itch, but they usually take only a day or two at most, and they make me the bulk of my money. My regular rate is $2.50 a day or $25 an hour if a case doesn't take that long. However, I also have a rich asshole's discount of $2,500 a day. All rates are plus expenses. Again, some things are a matter of necessity, and these cases keep the lights on, food my gut, and provide my spoiled, rotten bastard cats with a very comfortable life. More importantly, they make it so my personal crusades don't leave me on the goddamn streets like so many others in this city. But Seattle's homeless problem's a rant for another time. Looks like I need to replace the bulb soon. This excessive level of flickering is bound to get really old really fast. Hey, is there somebody in there? This is my bedroom, but where the hell's all my stuff? I haven't left the building long enough for someone to rob me, but if someone were to have broken in, the only thing in here worth anything to anyone outside of my family would be my guitar. Maybe the old record player. Beyond them, all my big-ticket items are in the main apartment and the office. So what the hell happened? This is my bathroom. It's locked from the other side and I have neither a key, a lockpick, nor even the desire to get inside. I have more important things to worry about. It's locked tight and nothing is disturbed. Not only are there no signs of forced entry, there's no signs of an entry call at all. I feel I should note once more that I'm on the 4th floor. On top of that, it looks like hell outside tonight. Hardly optimal conditions for a successful B&E. Now this one's locked too. Perfect. I don't feel good. God damn it. Am I losing my mind? No. I just need sleep. Okay. This is my bed. For the rowdy kids in the back of the class, that means this is where I sleep, or rather, attempt to sleep. Being a naturally anxious, restless type, sleep has never come easy to me. It got exponentially harder to get after Roxy's disappearance, but since the summer of 1990 it's been nearly impossible. Who could have guessed that seeing such a violent, awful, undeserved death could lead to lasting psychological consequences? Certainly not a grizzled old homicide detective who's personally seen hundreds of lives ruined by grisly homicides, right? This is a modified version of the old record player box that Roxy and I used to listen to before bed every night. As I said earlier, we'd stay up far too late, planning our futures, telling each other stories, or just listening to our favourite records until we were forced to shut it off and go to sleep. The box's built-in speaker shit the bed while I was in the police academy, but I kept it anyway for obvious, sentimental reasons. As a present to me for our first wedding anniversary, Marianne had my dad rewire it for external speakers, so that maybe we could continue Roxy and my tradition of playing music far too late. And we did. But I don't listen to it anymore. My trusty bat. In my day I was a damn fine pitcher. However, as I've said, Roxy was a goddamn prodigy, so seeing as we played in the same team more often than not, I've never dreamt of getting in her way. The point was to win after all, not purposely fuck up everything by foolishly insisting on pitching. Thankfully though, I was one of the strongest batters in town, so that was the role I'd take if fate let Roxy and I play on the same team. Of course, I was only the second best batter as well. The first was my best non-sibling friend, Calvin Batman Harrison. He was so good in fact that he went on to play for the Yankees. Marianne actually did a profile on him in her days as a reporter. But that's a much longer story than I have time to tell right now. Perhaps another time. This bat only exists as protection these days. So what was I the best at? I was the best runner. To say I was fast would be putting it mildly. I'm still fast when I need to be. Hell, I can outrun most men half my age. It's a great help in my line of work. The things in this cabinet are nobody's goddamn business but mine and Marianne's, and that's how they'll remain until I'm dead. They're personal and private, and that's all there is to it. This useless piece of shit's been stuck for what feels like an eternity, and I've no idea why. Moreover, I don't even know why I have the goddamn thing plugged in. When it did work, I was always up and well before it went off. I think I just find the dull green glow comforting. I'm prone to a number of sleep disorders, sleep paralysis, night terrors, vivid hallucinatory episodes, and the green just soothes me. Helps me find a centre. And yes, that's also why I keep the record player plugged in, even if I don't play it anymore. Also, it was a gift. Some of my books. Most of my belongings are in storage, but these are some things I just need around me. All my favourite books are here. Orwell, Vonnegut, Kafka, Hemingway, King, even some old Hardy Boys books. But there's nothing here I love more than the 5 Hartley mysteries, volumes written by my daughter, Elizabeth. The first one, The Body of Heather York, was written and released before Lizzie even graduated college and was published under a pen name Liz Burlesque. She released the books under this pen name because she didn't want either side of her work, investigative reporting and novelist respectively, to step on the other's toes. She wanted each to be taken as its own independent thing and on its own merits. This was also the reason that she didn't have an author portrait in the book's first editions. Of course, a certain amount of infamy comes with the Harper name, and neither Elizabeth nor her work were able to escape it after a major investigation. Let's just say she made quite the splash. My guitar. Everyone needs a way to blow off steam, and aside from Street Fighter, this is my favourite. Though I've been playing since I was a child, I don't really rate myself very highly. I'm no George, in other words. When we could steal a moment for ourselves, I used to love playing Beatles songs for Mary. Well, I play other stuff too, but the Beatles songs always went over the best. She loved the Tom Petty ones too. Due to a tremor gifted to me by a bullet to the head, I have a harder time playing these days. But when I do, it's usually when I'm alone. That same bullet to the head also burst my Street Fighter addiction. My physical therapist urged me to take up fast-action video games in an effort to get better control of my damaged motor skills. The guitar sometimes helps with that as well, but it's harder to hold than a controller. My personal bathroom is small, it's clean, and serves its purpose. Nothing more to say about it than that. Another of Lizzie's drawings. She was 13 at the time. It's Marianne, July 7th, 1980. We spent a honeymoon out in California, largely because Mary wanted desperately to see Queen's show in San Diego. She always had something of an obsessive, seemingly spiritual bond with those flamboyant, androgynous singers. Freddie Mercury, Bowie, Elton John, George Michael and others like him. Part of it was due to her extremely sheltered religious upbringing, but the largest part was because of her big brother, Scott, who was disowned by their father for being gay. Before I knew about Scott, however, I'd asked Marianne why she gravitated towards singers like Mercury, and her simple, sweet reply at the time became devastating as I came to learn about the Hillard family. They're just free to be themselves, no matter what, you know? Something neither of the Hillard children ever truly got to experience under their father's roof. I don't feel good. Same. I can't even move. Does this help? No. I think I'm dead. Well, I think we should go for a walk. Chapter 3, Love is a Long Road. Right. I think I'm going to halt it there and return in a couple of days with a stream to play through the rest of this, because this is really compelling. It's really well written, it's really interesting, but this is also very, very long. So let's just let's just stop it there, and I'll do a stream in a couple of days. We'll carry on doing it, because it's actually really fun to play and narrate at the same time. You feel like you're really getting into it, getting into the character and getting into the story. There's a lot to unpack there. But yeah, it's really you can tell that it's a labour of love, the way they've created it. Okay, let's put that on follow creation and play later, so it's back there when I want it. Very good.